Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm just here to bring you my latest 3 junk journal kits. I've been a bit quiet on videos lately because I've been working on a custom journal which I will try and do a video of later, but I have managed to cram in just making some kits and also some tag bags that I'm hopefully going to get a video done shortly as well. So I'll show you the kits first. So this is I'll move these 2 out of the way. So the kit number 1, it's basically an altered paper bag. I've just kind of embellished and decorated the back of it. I've cut it down, glued it around the sides, and formed a pocket. And then here on this side I have added this beautiful printable, which I think is kind of an image originally from a napkin. And then I've layered it up with some vintage sheet music, created a little flower, fabric flower down here with a little sparkly blingy centre, and just glued that all on. So obviously, like with all my kits, as I always say, they can be dismantled or deconstructed is the word I was looking for, so that you can use them on your project. So I mean, obviously you could cut round this girl. I wouldn't recommend peeling her off because she's actually glued on, but you could cut round her to use her on your projects. And obviously this flower would just peel off because it's just been glued on there. So you could obviously, you know, peel that off to use on your projects. And then there's this little ticket as well. So tucked behind the ticket, I've got a little cluster here. It's just some sheet music on some book page, and it's got a bit of lace trim, a little ticket, and a bit of greaseproof paper just for a bit of crinkle, and a little butterfly. So that's kind of that item. Just tuck that back in there. And then you've got this thread stuff. It's not really got a purpose. I just thought it looked pretty tied around there. And then on the other side there is some fabric ruffle. Again, that's just been glued down the side. It was obviously stitched on the sewing machine and I've just glued it onto the bag. So again, you could obviously cut that off, or maybe you could manage to kind of peel that off to use it in your projects. And then here I've just formed a pocket and covered it in some vintage sheet music. And then behind there is just a printable layered up with some sheet music and a little stamped image just there. So then you've got a little packet made again from another kind of altered paper bag. These are from a cheap shop that we have over here called Primark. It's a clothes shop, and I've just altered the paper bags and made these little paper packages. So holding this bag shut, sorry, I've just made the bag, stamped around it, put a printable on the front and some lace trim. And then holding the bag shut, there's an altered paper clip, which obviously again is another one of the items included for the kit. It's just got various elements layered up and just would obviously kind of be used on your projects. And then inside the little paper bag are a few little items here. So we've got a frame, which I love using these frames. I think they just look awesome. And that's just on some tea dyed or coffee dyed paper. Then there's an Eiffel Tower stamped image, again just on some coffee stained paper. There's a chipboard tile there, which I've just covered with scrapbook paper and distress inked and stamped a hot air balloon. And then there's one of those Tim Holtz rosettes, just been all distress inked up, and then it's got a chipboard glittered heart in the middle with the word love on there. So that could just be used on your projects. And then, drop down there, there's another chipboard tile, slightly thinner chipboard this time, and it's just got a stamped image of a cameo there. So that's those items. Sorry guys, for some reason my camera keeps flicking off. I have said that before. Sometimes it seems to do it more than others. I haven't managed to fathom out what causes it, but anyway, I apologise for that. So inside the paper bag you've got a number of kind of paper items. So you've got this little pocket here, which is just scrapbook paper that's been coffee dyed, and I've just glued it around. And you could use that as a floating pocket, kind of paper clipped onto pages and move it around in your book, or obviously you could glue it down onto your pages, either kind of just down 3 sides using it as a double pocket, or down obviously all 4 sides and use it as just a kind of single pocket there. And it's just got some layered up elements on there. And then there is another one of those pockets here, which again, it's just more scrapbook paper that's just been glued together and forming again a pocket. It's just got some sheet music and a couple of kind of printable images. And then it's got some lace trim down the side and this faux diamante there. Obviously a bit of a blue theme going on in this kit. And here, this is some vintage dictionary paper, and then I have stamped an image with some blue distress ink stamp, and then I've put this kind of blue vellum over the top that I've quite heavily distressed around it and stamped on there, and it's just got some of this gorgeous kind of vintage lace here that I've also coffee stained and just got some pearl trims. So again, you could kind of use this as a little kind of tuck on a page. Just kind of show you, you could tuck something in there, which actually it would then you know work any way up. Actually, you could probably have it anyway on the page, or indeed you could use it as a tag, just a kind of slightly interesting tag. And then we've got one of those teacup stamped images just on some coffee dyed cardstock. It's just got a decoupaged butterfly up there in the corner. Then there's one of these like map kind of images on this scrapbook paper. It's just been coffee dyed. It's got some sheet music, stamped image there, and a camera, and then a bit of lace trim. Excuse me, I just knocked the camera. And then some of this gorgeous bridal lace that I love using that I've also coffee dyed. And that I would just kind of glue that down on a page and just use it as a pocket on a page. In fact, I have actually used one of these in one of my journals. Trying to think which one. It might have been the Charleston journal, but if you kind of wanted to see how they look, you could kind of trawl through and find the video. So that's one of those. And then I've got, I would use this personally as a kind of top corner tuck spot, just by gluing it down those 2 sides, and then obviously kind of slotting things kind of under there. And it's just again lots of items layered up on here, and again it's that gorgeous blue colour. It's got some diamante trim. Then here I've got a little cluster. This one again, it's some pale blue that's been coffee dyed, and it's kind of cut in a ticket shape, and then it's got various elements layered up on it and some lace trim down there, and that's the back of it. This one's not such rigid cardstock, so I would maybe either reinforce this slightly if I was going to use it as a tuck spot on the page, or kind of maybe glue it onto a ticket or kind of flatter onto the page or something, but that's that one. And then here, the last item on this particular kit is a kind of corner tuck spot, what I would use as a corner tuck spot anyway, just going the other way. So I would just glue it down like that, and it's just again got various elements layered up on there and some faux diamante in the corner. So that's kit number 1. Then moving along, kit number 2 here. I'll just move that right out of the way. Kit number 2 here is again a little kind of paper package that I've made. I've tied it together with this kind of thickish packaging string, and basically you've got a handmade kind of paper package here on the front. It's got this gorgeous printable that I think is just so fun. It kind of looks like a, I guess it was probably taken from a book image or something, but really fun. Just layered up on some vintage book page, and then some sheet music there in the corner. I've just stamped on the corners, and then I've just got a stamped ticket image there, and one of those yo-yo flowers, and this one's like a stuffed one, so it's kind of puffy. And then I've just got some vintage lace there and a pearl trim. So again, all of this could be deconstructed, kind of you could cut off the image, You could probably peel this stamp off, but if not, you could cut around it and take it with the image. And the flower obviously has just been glued on, so you could just peel that off. And then over the other side, I have created a pocket here with some vintage sheet music that I've just double layered. I've got some trim down the bottom that I've just, it's just fabric that I've stitched on the sewing machine. And then I've distress inked. I've just got a little bit of lace there. And then you've got a fabric flower here, kind of pretty colours, kind of blues and reds and things, actually taken inspiration from the image over the page, which this is just held on with a bulb pin. So I just take that off, just to kind of show you. I've just taken kind of inspiration really from these colours on this image. So that's just literally pinned on there. So obviously it could easily be taken off and used on your books. And that's just layered up with some lace and various things. And then here in the pocket, and sorry, you've just got a couple of images there, some decoupage napkin and a printable. And then here in the pocket, your first couple of kind of larger items, you've got a cluster here, which again, it's just some book page, some sheet music, a bit of lace, pearl trim, and a stamped image here, like a journaling spot. So that's that one. And then you've got a little kind of booklet, which it's just got this stamped image of these birds on this scrapbook paper, and then you've just got some sewing pattern and a bit of lace down there and a bit of the faux de Monte trim, and then inside you've just got some sheets of coffee dyed paper. That's that. And then inside the package, let me just check that I've got everything. You've got a little folding flip, which I like to use in my journals. And this, I've popped some extra sheets of coffee dyed paper in there and some lace trim at the top. And that just tucks behind the typewriter image there. So again, you could use this either kind of attached to the page, glued down, or you could obviously move it around into your book like a tag. Then you've got this cluster here, which again, it's some book page, and then it's got some layered up elements. So it's got this lined paper and some sheet music and this vintage kind of image of this gentleman here. And then it's just got a butterfly there and some lace trim down the side. I would use that personally as a corner tuck spot by obviously just gluing down there. So that's that one. Then you've got a little file folder. This one here, I've just die cut it with my die cut machine, and it's just been stitched around on the sewing machine, and it's just got some lace trim down the side. So that's that. Then here there's a little fold out booklet, and it's just been coffee dyed, and weirdly enough this paper actually separated. It was quite thickish kind of cardstock, and it separated when I coffee dyed it, so the pages actually are kind of slightly bobbly because they're actually the insides of the paper where it came apart, but certainly still could write on them. So I just formed a booklet from that, and it's got some doily down the side, some ribbon, and some fabric there that I've stamped on and stitched on the sewing machine. So that's a little booklet. And then here I've got one of those postcards that I love using, and I've just decoupaged a bit of napkin down there, and I thought it just went really nicely with the kit. The other side is actually patterned paper, so I would either glue this onto a page, or if you wanted to use it as a tag, obviously you could glue it onto plain cardstock or paper. And then here I've got this one. This was actually from the like kind of title page of a paper pad. I've bought a few of these paper pads. I know I've talked about them before because I really loved these papers. They're full of like vintage adverts and things, and I just thought this made really a nice image on its own. So I just obviously took this section and I've layered it up onto some coffee dyed cardstock, and then layered up some other images on it, and a butterfly here with some diamante trim and a bit of lace up there. So works nice as a tag really, or as a kind of tuck spot or a corner pocket or something on a page. So rather like that. Now this one, I'm quite excited about this one, so I hope that everybody likes it really. I bought some vintage kind of ephemera and paperwork. I talked about this I think a couple of weeks ago, and I've been playing around with it. So This is again a kind of prototype really. So I had this like a compliment slip, I guess. I don't know whether they would have had compliment slips in those days, but I've stamped in the corners, decoupaged some napkin on, and I've scanned it in. So this is a printout from the original, because I mean actually the originals, they were all a bit smelly. So you know, you're not missing anything by not having the original. And then I've obviously printed it out, and I have just glued it onto some cardstock, which I've distress inked, and I've just, you know, roughed the edges up and highly distressed it with distress inks, and I think it looks really, really nice. So I have done a few of these, and I've put different coloured birds on from the napkins. So hopefully kind of once I complete it, I just want to kind of make sure that they print out okay. So I'm waiting for my husband to kind of do a dummy run to make sure that they print out okay, and then I will probably have 5 of these to a sheet of A4 as a printable in my shop, because I actually think sometimes the kind of less fussy printables are quite useful in journals. So yeah, really like this, and quite excited, you know, to have kind of finally made something that was a printable kind of image. Anyway, so this obviously used as a tag or kind of stuck down on a page. So that's that one. And then here I've got a little small packet, again made from that same cheap Primark bag, just stamped around the edges, and then I've put this stamped image there, distress inked everything, and then popped this lace trim down the bottom, and it was held obviously closed with this altered paper clip here, just that you could obviously take off to use in your projects. And then inside of the bag I have just got a few little items here. So I have got this love stamped onto this gorgeous kind of floral fabric. I've Mod Podged this so it's not kind of fraying quite so much, and I've also distress inked that, so that's that one. Then here I've just got literally a section of coffee stained scrapbook paper that I have then decoupaged some napkin onto, and that again just for kind of use in your projects, either just stuck onto a page, or you know, maybe you could make a tag from it or something, but you know, looks quite effective kind of wherever you put it really. So I thought that coordinated nicely with the kit. And then here I've just got another one of those Tim Holtz rosettes, and I've just layered it up with a Martha Stewart butterfly there on the side. And then finally you've just got one of these layered up kind of images that I've just stamped onto some fabric, and then some hessian, some lace trim, and this gorgeous kind of rusty type colour velvet fabric at the back. So again, I just thought that kind of toned nicely with the colours of this particular kit. So that's your smaller kind of items in there. So I hope you liked it. Sorry, my camera flicked off again, so I hope that I'm not missing anything. That was kit number 2, so I'm moving that completely out of the way. And then finally for today, kit number 3 here. This is an altered paper bag. It was a TK Maxx bag, which I've just kind of covered completely to get rid of the big orange TK Maxx kind of emblem. So here on this side I've put some sheet music, some greaseproof paper, and this gorgeous, gorgeous printable here of this beautiful lady. They actually were some free printables, I think, from Pinterest, and they seem to be like Valentine themed, but anyway, I thought they were rather nice. And I've just got here that lovely Emily Dickinson quote here, just stamped onto some coffee dyed paper. And then here, hanging on with a bulb pin, I've got a fabric flower, which I've just made, layering up various different elements. And then the middle has just got one of these gorgeous blingy, in a kind of raspberry colour kind of centres. So again, obviously you could just take that off because it's just with a bulb pin, and use that on your projects. And then on the other side, I have just formed a pocket here, just with some more sheet music. Well, the pocket was formed from the bag, and then covered it with the sheet music. I've just got an image here of a perfume kind of stamp, and then some ruffled trim down the bottom that I've just glued on. So again, all of this could just be deconstructed and used again in your projects and on your journals. And so inside this pocket here, I've got one of my floating pockets, which has just been laminated with the printable image inside the laminated sheet, and that's just backed onto some book page there, and it's just got some lace trim down the bottom. So that's your first item. And then inside the bag there is some vintage sheet music, which I have stitched around, and then I've layered up a printable image here, which it's a little while now since I've made it, so I have to kind of bear with me while I try and remember. It's hard to remember sometimes what you do, isn't it? Yes, I have made that as a kind of little tuck spot or a little pocket on there as well. So it's got layered up vintage sheet music, some lace trim and a little flower and a butterfly. But also that is acting as a little pocket there for another little tag. Or, for instance, you could put this kind of booklet in there. So I would just probably glue that down onto a page and have it as a little page pocket. And obviously a kind of double one, because you've got this as well. And then you've got this little fold out booklet, which it's just coffee dyed cardstock with some coffee stained pages. It's been stitched on the sewing machine, and it's just got that stamped image of a bird on the front. So I'll actually hook that in there. So that's that item. Then you've got another one of those little fold out flips like what was in the last kit, and that's just again some scrapbook paper that's been coffee dyed, and it's got a butterfly stamped image there. Oops, holding it shut, and it's got a little flower there with a pearl centre, and again I've just kind of glued that down onto the page. Then you've got a little cluster here just with some book page and some lined paper, a little girl from a printable, and a couple of stamped images there, and some lace trim down the bottom. Then another little cluster here, which again it's just some coffee dyed scrapbook paper, and then it's got some sheet music, a bird, little journaling spot, and some lace trim. And I would just kind of glue that onto the page, kind of up the top probably. So that's that one. And then here there's another little cluster, which again it's got coffee dyed scrapbook paper, and it's got this journaling spot here. It's got some sheet music, this typewriter image, and some lace trim and a little bow. So again, just kind of I would stick that on as a little tuck spot probably. And then here there's a little cluster with a stamped image of this kind of notepad, jotter pad page. And then it's got layered up images with the postcard and a little journaling spot, some flowers, and some of this coffee dyed vintage lace here. So again, I would just kind of glue that down and use that as a kind of tuck spot like that. So that's that one. And then here you've just got a little fold out kind of little pad made from just coffee dyed paper scraps, and a little vintage kind of printable there, and some lace trim, and that's just been stitched on the sewing machine. And then here in your little bag, so again it's the same Primark bags that I've made a little packet from, so just stamped around it, popped a printable on there, the word treasured, and some lace trim. Held shut again with an altered paper clip, so this one's just got some vintage lace trim and some other lace and a little faux diamante across the top. And then inside of the packet you've got a chipboard tile here that's just got some scrapbook paper and a stamped image of a butterfly, and that's all been distress inked. Then you've got one of those little heart-shaped frames, love using those in my journals, so that's just on coffee dyed paper. Then you've got a coffee dyed card journaling spot there, that also really find these very useful, and sometimes I even cut them in half so that you kind of have half like on a page and then half on another page. So that's that one. And then here you've got the word love on, again, some pretty fabric that I've just distress inked and stitched it onto some Hessian and Mod Podged it to make it kind of fray less. So that's that. And then finally you've got, whoops, one of those Tim Holtz rosettes, again with a chipboard centre that's been glittered and then glossy accented over the top with the word love. So that's that one. So that's kit number 3. So I hope you liked my kits. If you did, give them a thumbs up, please. Loving your comments, everyone. So thank you so much again for all your support. It really does mean a lot. Thanks very much. And I'm going to try and get on with some other videos, but I'm not sure how much time I've got left today. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.